Welcome to part 18 of this series, detailing the uncanny resemblances between religious and political woos, and sometimes they get amazing indeed. Case in point, how many times have you heard a creationist say,
"Evolution is just a theory"?
Let's nip this in the bud right now. According to the National Academy of Sciences, quote, "In everyday usage, theory often refers to a hunch or a speculation. When people say, 'I have a theory about why that happened,' they are often drawing a conclusion based on fragmentary or inconclusive evidence." The formal scientific definition of theory is quite different from the everyday meaning of the word. It refers to a comprehensive explanation of some aspect of nature that is supported by a vast body of evidence. They specifically defined 4 scientific terms: fact, hypothesis, law, and theory. Fact. In science, an observation that has been repeatedly confirmed and for all practical purposes is accepted as true. Truth in science, however, is never final, and what is accepted as a fact today may be modified or even discarded tomorrow. Hypothesis. A tentative statement about the natural world leading to deductions that can be tested. If the deductions are verified, the hypothesis is provisionally corroborated. If the deductions are incorrect, the original hypothesis is proved false and must be abandoned or modified. Hypotheses can be used to build more complex inferences and explanations. Law. A descriptive generalization about how some aspect of the natural world behaves under stated circumstances. Theory. In science, a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world that can incorporate facts, laws, inferences, and tested hypotheses. So this idea that people seem to have that this unproven idea is a theory, and then when proven it becomes a fact, just isn't what the words mean in a scientific context. An unproven idea is a hypothesis, and a fact is a repeatable observation. Facts can be used to test hypotheses, and if those hypotheses survive repeated testing, then they can be elevated to theory. In science, theory is as big as it gets. Theories incorporate facts and laws and use the confirmed hypotheses to generate a descriptive and predictive model.
But how is evolution true if it's only a theory?
First off, there's nothing only about being a theory. Again, it's as good as it gets. But the reason why we know it's true is because the theory makes testable predictions, and those predictions have withstood 150 years worth of testing, from the fossil record to the genetic record, even the success of evolutionary computer algorithms.
But it's still a theory.
Yeah, well, so's gravity. So's the idea that the Earth goes around the sun.
Now you're just being silly.
No, I'm not. A theory is a model that we can use to explain part of the universe. The fact that the model works so well speaks to the underlying truth. The theory of evolution allows us to achieve a lot, from the development of new pharmaceuticals to the next generation of supercomputers. Just like the theory of gravity allows us to launch spaceships and design roller coasters. In each case, every new design is a confirmation of the theory. But woos of all kinds just have to deny that. And yes, that includes statists.
Economics is just a theory.
Yes, many of them actually do say that, including ones who chide creationists for doing the same thing.
But it's still a theory.
So, what reason do you have for going against it? Like the minimum wage, the disemployment effects are pretty much guaranteed under the law of supply and demand.
But that's just a theory.
What part of the theory do you think is wrong? That firms can hire more people at lower wages? Or that more people will seek jobs at higher wages? Because that's all you need for supply and demand to be not only true, but applicable to the job market. Sometimes they're aware enough to couch it in different language, like,
Libertarianism may work on paper, but...
How is this a refutation of anything? Are you telling me that it'd be more believable if it didn't work on paper? Or even worse?
Libertarianism, like communism or socialism, works well on paper, but...
Except that communism and socialism don't even work on paper. They're mathematically unsustainable. A theory basically is something that works on paper. If you're going to complain about something on that basis, all you're doing is saying it's just a theory.
Well, it is!
Look, you're just shifting the burden of proof. Remember that as the side wanting to use force to implement their policies, the statists have to prove their side. And economics is just a theory, or libertarianism just looks good on paper, doesn't do the first thing toward achieving that. Again, we're forced to wonder why you'd have to resort to these tactics if you really were convinced you're right. Stay tuned.